Alright, so this week we got to see the heroes finally make it inside the tunnel section where the 8 precepts are supposedly hanging out, but things do of course not go as smoothly as they would have hoped. We have some small fry enemies on the way which are quickly disposed of, and while they are, we do get to see some of the new quirks in action, like the centipede guy. We haven't really seen him use his quirk before now, and well, while it's not really a character I care too much about, it's always nice to see how even side characters are given attention to detail like this. One thing that's going on while they're making their way through the tunnels is how the enemy is going about doing things. Unlike heroes, it seems that the less significant enemies block the hero's path, while Chisaki tries to escape. This fact has Kirishima boiled up a bit in anger, seeing as he can't really understand how anyone would want to do something like that. But it just goes to show how Chisaki is actually using his pawns as nothing more than tools. After all, he doesn't love his henchmen like friends or anything like that, they're just means to an end. Once they outlive their purpose, he will dispose of them. Another thing with these tunnels is of course that they reach a thick concrete wall where there shouldn't be one, at least not according to Night Eye's vision, but thanks to Mirio's quirk it doesn't really take long before it's revealed that behind that concrete wall is the continuation of the path they're seeking. Chisaki most likely uses his quirk to take apart and repair the wall every time he needs to make it all the way through. One additional detail that is revealed that I don't think we knew before was that Mirio's suit is made so that even if he faces through walls and such, his costume won't fall off. Because for those who remember, Mirio's quirk would normally cause everything, including his own clothes, to phase through his body. The reason why his suit is able to bypass his quirk's side effect is apparently because his suit is made from a fiber created by Mirio's own hair. Now if that isn't hero costume dedication, I don't know what is. So we then have Izuku and Kirishima both just plow through this concrete wall after finding out what's behind it, of course, and even after getting to the other side, more obstacles await them. We see how the walls and the floor start to move around really weirdly, which makes it so that the heroes can't make it past whatever is causing it, and we do learn who's behind it, or rather most likely who's behind it with the help of a quirk empowering drug. The name of this villain is apparently Iranaka, or as they call him, General Manager Iranaka. The ones who seem to know about him are the pro heroes, and I'm guessing this is through the list that they had at the beginning of the assault, because it was said that they had intel on a limited amount of people associated with this organization. As we get close to the end of the chapter, we get some pretty crazy shit happening. We see Tamaki actually start to succumb to doubt, as he says stuff like it's hopeless and all of that, like he thinks it's all over for them. But I mean, it's what you would expect from Tamaki. He does lack self-confidence and stuff like that, as we have seen ever since he was first introduced. But then we have this moment where Mirio puts down his foot and tells Tamaki that it's not over, and he also explains to Tamaki that he is Sun Eater. That's when Mirio separates himself from the rest of the group, since he's the only one who can actually make it through the obstacle they're currently facing. And after he's gone, well, the floor basically caves in and every hero at the scene falls down to the floor beneath them. Not to mention, the hole they actually fell through from is immediately restored, but this also builds up to something insanely good. As the smoke clears, we see 3 members of the 8 expendables waiting for them. So this was clearly something that they planned from the very beginning, to have the heroes fall down, or well, the guy up top at least planned it. I'm assuming the lower ones didn't really plan for this to happen, since one of them actually says something like that them falling down was a curious development. This moment is without a doubt one of the greatest moments in this chapter. Actually, no, it's the greatest. We see some of the heroes ready to go into battle when suddenly none other than Tamaki steps up front. So we get to see this quick flashback of him and Mirio, where Mirio states that the reason he's able to fight so well is because Tamaki was on his side. This in turn boosts Tamaki's self-confidence to such a level that he challenges all 3 of these enemies in a 1-on-3 fight, which will continue in next week's chapter. What do I even say to a chapter like this, especially with an ending this awesome? This is why I keep reading the series, because it just radiates with such intensity. I mean, out of all people to challenge these Tamaki, whose self-confidence up until now has been really bad, he steps up to the plate ready to best these 3 expendables, and he's looking fierce. But you can still see some of that doubt in his face at the same time. Anger and fear at the same time is what I get from seeing Tamaki stand up to these villains. Kohei Horikoshi sure knows how to write a character development, and not only does he know how to, but he does it really good. It's indescribable how much I'm looking forward to the next chapter of Hero Academia. I've never been so hyped ever since I watched the anime for the first time, and that is before I was even reading the manga. What makes the whole thing better is of course that Mirio left the group for now, meaning that Tamaki most likely stepped up to the plate because he understands that he must be able to fend for himself, not just expect Mirio to be the ace among the top 3 of the UA Academy. If Tamaki's development keeps growing like this, well, he's bound to be side by side with Mirio really soon. That said, we haven't seen either of them go all out yet, but next week we might see one of them do, that one being Tamaki of course. As for Mirio though, I do wonder, since he's all on his own, what's going to happen. I mean, he's on his way towards Eri and Chisaki, and Chisaki is probably going to be waiting for him on the way, if not in the very same room as Eri is located. So we might get to see a very intense fight between them. I doubt it's going to happen in the next chapter already, since he's the big shot of this whole arc, especially since there are 8 expendables and we haven't seen them all yet, so no doubt he's also going to run into a few of them, much like Tamaki has. The girls might come in later as well, seeing how, from what I could tell, they were only dealing with one big enemy and they were like 3 or 4 people dealing with him, so he might kick the bucket really quickly. Again, I can't express how badly I need next week's chapter to come and every chapter following it. It would also be kind of interesting to see if we'll see some of Gran Torino fighting the League of Villains, since he did go off on his own based on some intel regarding them. I mean, I doubt we will, seeing how that's seemingly not connected to this arc directly. But regardless, it would be pretty interesting to see how he can handle them, because unless I'm mistaken, he did go there alone. Well, potentially with some side characters. Given his age, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually ends up dying. I mean, I only say that given his age and the fact that he's not of this generation of heroes. He's like 1 or even 2 generations in the past. He's not going to get any better, if you know what I'm saying. If anything, his purpose right now is simply to be a mentor, primarily. Anyway, back to the chapter, we did see that there are some hidden doorways and such, so I wonder if they also have hidden traps around these tunnels. I mean, it would make sense. I suppose you could call the guy who warped the entire tunnel a trap. I don't really know how many expendables we've run into so far. I mean, we have the 3 that Tamaki is up against, and the guy up top might also be one, seeing as we did see that mask lying on the ground, and Chisaki only gave masks to the expendables, I think. So at the most, we've seen 5, if we count the guy who blew up the doorway on the outside. I think he was wearing a mask as well, might not have. So 4 or 5 I'd say, which means that there are at least 3 still waiting, knowing how an arc works. All 8 are going to fight at some point, so we got even more greatness to look forward to. Anyway, enough of me rambling. I'll end off the review here. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. What did you think of this week's chapter? And as always, if you did, please like this video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new to my channel. This has been your favorite host, Perm, and I will see you soon.